Welcome to another customer self-service video. This video will demonstrate how to create a common KPI report. This particular report will show you the percentage of your invoices that either do or do not have exceptions. The report is built using the invoice exceptions depreciated fact table, and the output of the report will show you the total invoice count and the percentage of those invoices that have exceptions and those that do not. To create the report, we need to go to Create and select Analytical Report from the menu. The first thing we need to do is give our report a title. And then we will go and select our fact table. In this report, as I mentioned before, we want to use the invoice exceptions depreciated fact table. So we'll scroll down the list and select our fact table. And now the next thing we need to do is we need to go down and add some of our measure fields to the data section of our report. In this case, we are going to use invoice count, and then we are also going to use invoices with exception count. And now, in order to calculate the percentages, we're going to need to create a couple of user-defined fields. So click on the button to create a field, and we'll go ahead and give our field a name. And now we need to create our formulas. For this particular case, we're going to use a couple of the predefined fields. First thing we're going to do is we're going to get the sum of invoices with exceptions, add that to our formula. And then we're going to want to divide that by the invoice count in order to get the percentage. So for now, that's all we need for our formula. So I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And we can see that this custom field has been added to the data section. Now we want to go ahead and create our second field. Now for this field, we want to find the percentage of invoices that do not have exceptions. And then we need to create our formula again. For this field, we want to calculate the number of invoices without exceptions. So first we need to start with 1. Exception count, divide that by the invoice count, and go ahead and close the parentheses. Once we're done with that, I'm going to go ahead and click on OK. And now you can see that our second field has been added to the data section. One thing that I want to do here in the data section is I want to reorder these two fields here. I want the invoice with exception count to come after invoice count. So I'm going to go ahead and move that down. And now we're done with the data section, and we can move on to setting up our detail fields. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Next. From here, we can set up our detail fields. We could set up row fields, column fields, or page fields if we would like. For this case, we're going to leave the detail fields as they appeared. There are certain default fields that will show up based on the fact table that you have selected here in the detail fields. For our case, we're going to look at this report from an aggregate standpoint, so I'm actually going to leave this unchecked so that we're not showing these detail fields in the report. Let's go ahead and click on Next. And from here, we can refine our data further, right? So if we want to put in a time range, you can change the time period. For this case, I'm going to just leave this as the most recent 2 years. And now I'm going to go ahead and run the report. And here's the report output. You can see that we've got the total invoice count, the number of invoices that have exceptions, and then the percentages for those number of invoices that both have exceptions and that do not have exceptions. You can see these two fields are not showing up as percentages. In order to change that, we can click on the field name and go down to Field Settings. Now we're back into where we can edit our custom field. We want to go over to Format, And then for the number format, we want to show this data in percentage. You can modify the number of decimal places. I'm going to leave that at 2 and go ahead and click on OK. And now we can see this as a percentage. Let me go ahead and change this other one really quickly. Now I could have done those settings to format the number to a percentage when I first set up those fields, but you can also do it after the fact as well. So this is the final report. I hope you will find this helpful, and thanks for watching. And that concludes this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have found this helpful. If you have any follow-up questions, please reach out to your customer engagement executive or SAP Ariba support.